Hi friends, welcome to the ASP Unlimited app as well. This will get posted a few days later on Active Self-Protection Extra. We are here at C2 Tactical in Scottsdale, back once again with dot shooter extraordinaire Jay Macklin, who is a friend of mine from here in town, who is a rock star as a shooter. You've seen him shoot on the channel before. We're still working on transitioning to the red dot, and kind of last live fire in this block of understanding the red dot is accepting the movement of the laser. Palm pepper spray is next generation OC spray. It's hot at 1.4% major capsaicinoids, and its modular design means you can customize it exactly to you. 3 different setups, lots of different color combinations. You can make it exactly as you like. And the flip top safety prevents accidental discharges. It's 10 to 12 foot range and 25 half-second blasts. Make sure that you can keep that long range eye poke at long range. I trust Palm OC, and I recommend it for everyone for self-defense. Now, you know, you ever own a cat?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my wife is a cat person, which pretty much makes me a cat person, right? And if you follow me on my Facebook, you know, I'm posting pictures of my cats all the time. I'm a dog person, my wife's a cat person, so we compromised and got cats.
Yeah, I know how that goes.
Yeah. So, you know, that trope that's, you know, a cat chasing a laser beam, right? And I gotta tell you, man, when I have a red dot, I'm a cat chasing a laser beam. And I gotta fight that tendency, because one of the things is that you are a biological creature with biological processes, and it is impossible for us to hold a gun completely still. So when you first started with a red dot, Jay, how was this a struggle for you, or was this an easy day?
Yeah, you know, people said, hey, when you first start red dot, you're gonna have a tough time finding the dot, right? And I did a little bit. Of course, I told you before I got the SRO, what you guys call a truck window, which made a huge difference.
Yeah.
But my focus really was just the dot was moving, and I thought I literally had to have this dot stop moving. I'm like, why is this thing? And shooting irons, you're focused on the front sight, and your front sight focus versus threat focus. And so when I started looking at the red dot, I just stared at the red dot, and of course then the more you stare at, the more it becomes a star. It changes shapes and moves, and you're like, I don't know what the heck I'm shooting. So yeah, so I'm like, oh, okay, you have to superimpose that dot on the target, and then I realized I was the cat following the laser beam, and then I just decided, okay, you can see it peripherally. You don't necessarily look at the dot, you just look at your target and just impose that dot on your target.
And once you do that, okay, he said something really important here. Once I let the dot superimpose on the target and I'm target focused and looking there, and again, keeping my eyes engaged. We have this tendency to go blind in that brief second before the shot breaks. That's that one, I was aimed here and my shot went way low left and I don't know why. I'll tell you what happened is that you were seeing, and then you decided to put your attention into the trigger, and your brain shut off your eyes for a split second, and your sights went way down here because you gripped with your whole hand. And you didn't see it because you weren't paying attention to your eyeballs in that moment. The brain is crazy, y'all. So what we're gonna do here is that we're gonna work on a skill builder that helps us do that, accepting the wobble. We're out here at about 7 yards, and you can see our targets have been shot. We've done several of these at once. And this is one that I really like. You can do this in dry fire as well if you're radically honest, but it really works well in live fire. The thing that you get out of live fire, you can also, if you have the Mantis Laser Academy, it'll give you honest feedback like this too on this particular drill. But what I really like about this one is in accepting the wobble. You can do this by yourself. If you have a friend out here, oh man, this one's super fun. In that, we're gonna put the gun out there on our acceptable target. We'll start with the A zone, right? And then as a friend, I'm just going to have a hold of his hands and give him a little bit of motion such that his dot is waving in and out of that target area. And his job is to see when that sight is coming back into the target area and let the trigger fly as it comes in. So he's kind of ambushing it. Now what you're gonna find is, if you wait until your dot, so if my dot, let's just say this is my acceptable target area here, and the dot's doing this, and I wait till the middle here, by the time it breaks, it'll be out here on the other side. And so what I'm doing here is I go, it's coming, now start my trigger press, bang, and letting that fly. Now you don't gotta go like this, right? You don't have to do this kind of thing. You can, but it's not as helpful, right? What I'm really trying to do is kind of like see the dot, and let's just say that, you know, my fist is kind of the circle, and maybe it's just kind of doing like this. Now you might go, man, I'm struggling. Well then slow it down a little bit. Get a little bit less. Boom, there it goes. Now, boom, there it goes. Now, boom, there it goes. And that trains me to let the wobble. Now, if I've got to get an ocular shot, right? Let's just say this ocular cavity. And again, now, if it's way out here like this, I need to steady myself to where it's less. Now, boom, and go from there. Let's shoot it a little bit and try. You want to try this one first?
Let's try it.
Let's
I've
do
never
it.
had anybody do this, so.
Oh, really?
This will be fun.
Oh, this is super fun. All right, so go ahead and draw your firearm. You got a few rounds in it?
Got a few.
Good. Okay, so go ahead and present to the target. Now, just relaxing and chilling, right? So here's all I'm going to do is it on the target?
Yes.
I'm just going to let it play with you a little bit.
Yeah.
Is it coming and going?
Yep.
Yeah, now when you can see it on the target, go ahead and let it go. Now, as we start to see, were you letting them go a little early or a little late?
I was late.
You were a little late.
I was late on both of them. The C and the two C's on the left and the C on the right was too late.
A little late.
Because as soon as I saw that moving, it was in the middle of the target. By the time it moved, it was to the right. And you think about that from here, it's only 3 or 4 inches. There, it's probably 6 or 8.
Right.
But that distance that you're moving your gun this much has a compound effect at the end of a
big
dramatic,
time. Yeah.
dramatic
Which
difference.
is why you'll notice I didn't move him very far.
No.
No, come on, back out now. Now you're going to work on your timing.
Okay.
To see, no, I was a little late there.
Okay.
So I've got to just feel, okay, I'm going to let it a little sooner, right?
Okay.
So here I've got, and all of a sudden he starts getting A-zones all day long.
I got one on the outside, but everything else is A-zone.
Yeah. Now, of course, that's extreme motion,
Yes.
right?
But
now,
I like that drill because it really makes you focus on, like you said, ambushing that target to the point where it's like when you're shooting skeet, you got to be able to get in front of it.
right? Or you're hunting birds, stuff like that. All right, I want you to step up. Do you have any more rounds on you?
No.
No. Let's get some more rounds real quick, because now I want you to feel it without me doing it, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, the gun's not moving.
So much easier.
Now I want you to drive the gun out there. Now, relatively speaking, your dot's super still now, right?
It is.
Yeah. So listen, the other way that you can do this is you can generate that movement yourself, right? So you see there, now you can just time it yourself. Okay, enough. Now what I want you to do is I want you to feel the same thing. I want you to be still, but now look at that dot in your head box. It's
Okay.
gonna feel similar
Okay.
to that big A zone when you're causing this kind of, uncaused error. Now it's gonna float a little bit in there.
Okay.
And I want you to feel, don't do it on purpose, of course, move it, but can you see that same kind of motion a little bit?
Yeah.
But
Oh,
it's
yeah,
staying inside, right?
It's moving, yeah.
So now it's moving but staying inside, so let it fly once you see it. Once I see it, let it fly. And I can see that all the time. Ow, gosh, man, I caught a little spall on that one. So go ahead and safely holster up. So this particular drill is kind of a fun one, right? Because it forces you to go, now, of course, I like, wait, this gun is moving. Yeah, I'm moving it.
What's interesting is it was actually harder for me to do it when I was doing it versus when you were doing it.
Oh, really?
Because I knew I was doing it, and even though I could slow down, I don't think I did, and I wasn't timing it as well as when you were doing it. So interesting.
So
yeah.
I think somewhat, probably that is because when I'm doing it, you don't have that cognitive load. You don't have that to think about.
All I'm doing is aiming.
And instead, you're here like, okay, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And now I got to think about that too.
Yeah.
This drill, though, forces you to accept wobble. It forces you to say, you know what? The dot is going to move. The other part of this, and that I think you should experiment with, that we're going to talk about a little bit another time, is how bright is your dot? Because the brightness of the dot, depending on, okay, here we're under fluorescent lights versus, if we're out under bright sunlight, yes, it matters of whether or not you can see it, but also it does determine how much is my visual focus coming back to the dot versus not. But your task on this one, as you acclimate yourself to the pistol-mounted optic, is to go do exactly what Jay did here. If you're all by yourself, you're gonna have to make yourself. Just send it kind of, again, you're gonna be doing this thing to make the dot kind of float and in and out and ambushing the target. When it gets to the smaller target, you're gonna try to, again, let that float be a little bit less. If you got a buddy with you who can do that, be very safe and careful doing this. You notice I didn't approach him and like, you know what I mean? I didn't, nothing unsafe, nothing crazy, nothing significant or anything like that. Just a little zhuzh. I barely had him, hold of him by his forearm, right? And just gave him a little bit of motion, couple inches either way. I think if you do that, you'll start to accept the wobble of your dot. It'll make you a better dot shooter. Good shooting, dude.
Thank you, sir.